legalize it. Don't pasteurize it. Don't homogenize it. Just legalize it. It's a long-standing tradition, and it's great in the kitchen. Part of a healthy diet. Everyone should buy it. It sustained our ancestors, must not be sequestered. Raw dairy keeps you fit. Let's all reap the benefits, so legalize it. Don't pasteurize it. Don't homogenize it. Just legalize it. Raw milk from the farmer surely will not harm you. There's no need to change it. No chemical rearrangement. It's good for your digestion. It's my doctor's suggestion. It helps the next generation with healthy gestation. Legalize it.
That was Legalize It, a song about raw milk. I want to welcome everyone back to another edition of the Awake and Aware radio show. This is your host, Infinite Consciousness, commonly known as Jason. Please visit Awake, Aware, and Part of the Solution on Facebook, and check out Freedom from Compulsions at www.freedomfromcompulsions.vpweb.com. If you'd like to access the archive of all the past radio shows, go to www.blogtalkradio.com/Infinite Consciousness. Last week we discussed the Zionist-controlled propaganda machines of corporate media manipulation and how they implant false beliefs within the listener, in turn altering perceptions of the self and the world around them. This week we'll be discussing the benefits of raw milk and why it is being demonized by the manipulators who go as far as having armed raids with SWAT teams on raw milk farms as if they are drug dens. We'll also be having Liz Baldwin from Shunpike Dairy on the show. Please check out our Facebook page under the same name of Shunpike Dairy. That's SHUNPIKE. And check out our website at www.shunpikedairy.com. That's www.shunpikeDairy.com. I'm going to go straight into the health benefits of raw milk, and then I'm going to have Liz on as soon as I'm done with my blurb here. But let's just start off with the health benefits of raw milk. I'm going to get into the raids a little bit later. So, all right. There's little mention in the mainstream media these days of traditional foods having healing properties. Few people are aware that clean raw milk from grass-fed cows was actually used as a medicine in the early part of the last century. That's right. Milk straight from the udder, a sort of stem cell of foods, was used as medicine to treat and frequently cure some serious chronic diseases. From the time of Hippocrates, to until just after World War II, this white blood nourished and healed uncounted millions. Clean raw milk from pastured cows is a complete and properly balanced food. You could live on it exclusively if you had to. Indeed, published accounts exist of people who have done just that. What's in it that makes it so great? Let's look at the ingredients to see what makes it such a powerful food. All right, we're going to talk about a little bit about proteins. Our bodies use amino acids as building blocks for protein. Depending on who you ask, we need 20 to 22 of them for this task. 8 of them are considered essential in what we have to get them from our food. The remaining 12 to 14 we can make from the first 8 via complex metabolic pathways in our cells. Raw cow's milk has all 8 essential amino acids in varying amounts depending on stage of lactation. About 80% of the proteins in milk are caseins, reasonably heat-stable and, for most, easy to digest. The remaining 20% or so are classed as whey proteins, many of which have important physiological effects like bioactivity. Also easy to digest but very heat-sensitive, these include key enzymes, which are specialized proteins, and enzyme inhibitors, immunoglobulins, antibodies, metal-binding proteins, vitamin-binding proteins, and several growth factors. Current research is now focusing on fragments of protein, which are peptide segments, hidden in casein molecules that exhibit antimicrobial activity. Let's talk about lactoferrin. An iron-building protein has numerous beneficial properties, including, as you might guess, improved absorption and assimilation of iron, anti-cancer properties, and antimicrobial action against several species of bacteria responsible for dental cavities. Recent studies also reveal that it has been powerful antiviral properties as well. Two other players in raw milk's antibiotic protein enzyme arsenal are lysozyme and lactoperoxidase. I'm going to say this completely wrong, so excuse me, lactoperoxidase. Lysozyme can actually break apart cell walls of certain undesirable bacteria, while lactoperoxidase teams up with other substances to help knock out unwanted microbes, too. The immunoglobulins, sorry about the mutilation of some of these words here, ladies and gentlemen, an extremely complex class of milk proteins, also known as antibodies, provide resistance to many viruses, bacteria, and bacterial toxins, and may help reduce the severity of asthma symptoms. Studies have shown significant loss of these important disease fighters when milk is heated to normal processing temperatures. Carbohydrates. Lactose, or milk sugar, is the primary carbohydrate in cow's milk, made from one molecule each of the simple sugars, glucose and galactose. It's known as a disaccharide. People with lactose intolerance for one reason or another, age, genetics, etc., no longer make the enzyme lactase and so can't digest milk sugar. This leads to some unsavory symptoms, which, needless to say, the victims find rather unpleasant at best. Raw milk, with its lactose-digesting lactobacillia, bacteria intact, may allow people who traditionally have avoided milk to give it another try. The end result of lactose digestion is a substance called lactic acid, responsible for the sour taste in fermented dairy products. Besides having known inhibitory effects on harmful species of bacteria, lactic acid boosts the absorption of calcium, phosphorus, and iron, and has been shown to make milk proteins more digestible by knocking them out of solution as fine curd particles. Let's talk about some fats. Approximately 2/3 of the fat in milk is saturated. Good or bad for you? Saturated fats play a number of key roles in our bodies, from construction of cell membranes and key hormones to providing energy storage and padding for delicate organs, to serving as a vehicle for important fat-soluble vitamins. All fats cause our stomach lining to secrete a hormone, which is called CCK, which, aside from boosting production of secretion of digestive enzymes, lets us know we've eaten enough. With that trigger removed, non-fat dairy products and other fat-free foods can potentially help contribute to overeating. Consider that for thousands of years before the introduction of the hydrogenation process, which is pumping hydrogen gas through oils to make them solids, and the use of canola oil from genetically modified rapeseed, corn, cottonseed, safflower, and soy oils, dietary fats were somewhat more often saturated and frequently animal-based. Prior to about 1850, animals in the U.S. were not so heavily fed corn or grain. Use of butter, lard, tallows, poultry fats, fish oils, tropical oils such as coconut and palm, and cold-pressed olive oil were also higher than levels seen today. Now consider the prior to 1900. Very few people died from heart disease. The introduction of hydrogenated cottonseed oil in 1911 as trans fat-laden Crisco helped begin the move away from healthy animal fats and toward the slow downward trend in cardiovascular health from which millions continue to suffer today. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, the biggest killer in the United States today is heart disease, followed by cancer and pharmaceutical drugs. CLA, short for conjugated linoleic acid, and abundant in milk from grass-fed cows, is a heavily studied polyunsaturated omega-6 fatty acid with promising health benefits. It certainly does wonders for rodents, judging from the hundreds of journal articles. There's serious money behind CLA, so it's a sure bet there's something to it. Among CLA's many potential benefits, it raises metabolic rate, helps remove abdominal fat, boosts muscle growth, reduces resistance to insulin, strengthens the immune system, and lowers food allergy reactions. As luck would have it, grass-fed raw milk has from 3 to 5 times the amount found in the milk from feed-lot cows. Vitamins. Volumes have been written about the two groups of vitamins, water and fat-soluble, and their contribution to health. Whole raw milk has them all, and they're completely available for your body to use. Whether regulating your metabolism or helping the biochemical reactions that free energy from the food you eat, they're all present and ready to go to work for you. Just to repeat, nothing needs to be added to raw milk, especially that from grass-fed cows, to make it whole or better. No vitamins, no minerals, no enriching. It's a complete food. Minerals Our bodies, each with a biochemistry as unique as our fingerprints, are incredibly complex. So discussions of minerals, or any nutrients for that matter, must deal with ranges rather than the specific amounts. Raw milk contains a broad selection of completely available minerals ranging from the familiar calcium and phosphorus on down to trace elements, the function of some as yet still rather unclear. A sampling of the health benefits of calcium, an important element abundant in raw milk, includes reduction in cancers, particularly of the colon, higher bone mineral density in people of every age, lower risk of osteoporosis and fractures in older adults, lowered risk of kidney stones, formation of strong teeth, and reduction of dental cavities, to name a few. An interesting feature of minerals as nutrients is the delicate balance they require with other minerals to function properly. For instance, calcium needs a proper ratio of two other micronutrients, phosphorus and magnesium, to be properly utilized by our bodies. Guess what? Nature codes for the entire array of minerals in raw milk from cows on properly maintained pasture to be in proper balance to one another, thus optimizing their benefit to us. Enzymes. The 60-plus known, fully intact and functional enzymes in raw milk have an amazing array of tasks to perform, each one of them essential in facilitating one key reaction or another. Some of them are native to milk, and others come from beneficial bacteria growing in the milk. Just keeping track of them would require a postdoctorate degree. To me, the most significant health benefit derived from food enzymes is the burden they take off our body. When we eat a food that contains enzymes devoted to its own digestion, it's that much less work for our pancreas. Given the choice, I'll bet that busy organ would rather occupy itself with making metabolic enzymes and insulin, letting food digest itself. The amylase, bacteria that produce lactase, lipases, and phosphatases, in raw milk, break down starch, lactose, milk sugar, fat, triglycerides, and phosphate compounds, respectively, making milk more digestible and freeing up key enzymes. Other enzymes like catalase, lysozyme, and lactoperoxidase help to protect milk from unwanted bacterial infection, making it safer for us to drink. Cholesterol. Milk contains about 3 milligrams of cholesterol per gram, a decent amount. Our bodies make most of what we need, that amount fluctuating by what we get from our food. Eat more, make less. Either way, we need it. Why not let raw milk be one source? Cholesterol is a protective repair substance, a waxy plant steroid often lumped in with the fats. Our body uses it as a form of waterproofing and as a building block for a number of key hormones. It's natural, normal, and essential to find it in our brain, liver, nerves, blood, bile, indeed every cell membrane. The best analogy regarding cholesterol's supposed causative effects on the clogging of our arteries is like blaming crime on the police because they're always at the scene. Seriously, consider educating yourself fully on the critical food issue. It could quite literally save your life. Beneficial bacteria. Through the process of fermentation, several strains of bacteria naturally present or added later, lactobacillus and Leoconostoc, and Pediococcus, to name a few, and I mutilated those again, so I apologize for that, can transform milk into an even more digestible food. With high levels of lactic acid, numerous enzymes and increased vitamin content, soured or fermented dairy products like yogurt and kefir, made with bacteria and yeast actually, provide a plethora of health benefits for the savvy people who eat them. Being acid lovers, these helpful little critters make it safely through the stomach's acid environment to reach the intestines where they really begin to work their magic. Down there in the pitch black, some of them make enzymes that help break proteins apart, a real benefit for the people with weakened digestion, whether it be from age, pharmaceutical side effects, or illness. Other strains get to work on fats by making lipases that chop triglycerides into usable chunks. Still others take on the milk sugar, lactose, and using fancy-sounding enzymes like beta-galactosidase, glycolase, and lactic dehydrogenase makes lactic acid out of it. Having lactic acid working for you in your nether regions can be a good thing. It boosts absorption of calcium, iron, and phosphorus, breaks up casein into smaller chunks, and helps eliminate bad bugs. Raw milk is a living food with remarkable and protective properties, but here's the kick. Most foods tend to go south as they age. Raw milk just keeps getting better. Through helpful bacterial fermentation, you can expect an increase in enzymes, vitamins, mineral availability, and overall digestibility. Not bad for old age. Let's do a quick word about diet in general. Use common sense and stick with whole unprocessed foods, free from genetic tweaking. Check out the show I did on Monsanto and GMOs a few months back, and you'll likely be ahead of the game. Cook your foods minimally, and you'll even be better off. Learn about sprouting and fermentation. Question everything before letting it pass your lips. Explore what worked for countless generations before ours, and put it to work for yourself today. You can achieve great health by diet alone. All right, I'm going to quickly go into the raids on the raw milk farms, and then we're going to have Liz on. So just give me a few more minutes here, because it's just devastating what's happening to some of these raw milk farms who are being raided like drug dens. All right, this is from a blurb, actually from a news article. That's what the beginning part of this is from. So let me just go right into that. It deals with raids on raw milk farms. All right. When the 20 agents arrived bearing a search warrant at her Ventura County farmhouse door at 7 a.m. on a Wednesday a couple weeks back, Sharon Palmer didn't know what to say. This was the third time she was being raided in 18 months, and she had thought she was on her way to resolving the problem over labeling of her goat cheese that prompted the other two raids. In addition to producing goat's milk, she raises cattle, pigs, and chickens and makes the meat available via a CSA. But her 12-year-old daughter, Jasmine, wasn't the least bit tongue-tied. Quote, she started back talking to them, end quote, recalls Palmer. Quote, she said, if you take my computer again, I can't do my homework. This would be the third computer we will have lost. I still haven't gotten the computers back they took in the previous two raids. As part of the 5-hour-plus search of her barn and home, the agents from the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office, Los Angeles County Sheriff, Ventura County Sheriff, and the California Department of Food and Agriculture took the replacement computer along with milk she feeds her chickens and pigs. While no one will say officially what the purpose of this latest raid was, aside from being part of an investigation in progress, what is very clear is that governmental raids of producers, distributors, and even consumers of nutritionally dense foods appear to be happening ever more frequently. Sometimes they are meant to counter raw dairy production, other times to challenge private food organizations over whether they should be licensed as food retailers. The same day Sharon Palmer's farm was raided, there was a raid on Rawsome Foods, a Venice, California private food club run by nutritionist and raw food advocate Jonas Vanterplanets. For a membership fee of $25, consumers can purchase unpasteurized dairy products, eggs that are not only organic but unwashed, and a wide assortment of fermented vegetables and other products. The main difference in the two raids seems to be that Palmer's raiding party was actually much smaller, about half the size of the Venice contingent. Vanterplanets was also visited by the FBI and the FDA. In the Rawsome raid, agents made off with several $1,000s worth of raw honey and raw dairy products. They also shut Rawsome for failure to have a public health permit, though the size and scope of the raid suggest the government officials might have more in mind. Regardless, within hours, the outlet reopened in defiance of the shutdown order. Earlier in June, agents of the Minnesota Department of Agriculture, escorted by police and also bearing search warrants, raided and shut down Traditional Foods Warehouse, a popular food club in Minneapolis, specializing in locally produced foods. They also raided two farms suspected of illegally selling raw milk. And in a national first among such raids, agents searched a private home and made off with computers. The family's offense appears to have been that it allowed one of the raw dairy farmers to park in its driveway to distribute raw milk to area residents who had ordered it. The Minnesota Department of Agriculture has declined comments on such raids, saying they are part of an ongoing investigation into raw milk distribution in the state in lieu of 8 illnesses in May linked to raw milk. Remember, I said the third biggest killer in the United States is pharmaceutical drugs, ladies and gentlemen, and they're linking this to illnesses, a very small amount. All right. Meanwhile, the Wisconsin Department of Agricultural Trade and Consumer Protection has launched 3 raids over the last 3 months on the dairy farm and farm store of Vernon Hirschberger near Madison. The day after DATCP agents placed seals on his fridges storing raw dairy products in July, Hirschberger cut the seals and announced he was going to challenge the agency's contention he needs a dairy and retail license to sell his products. Obtaining such licenses would be problematic, though, since Wisconsin prohibits sale of raw milk except, quote, incidental, end quote, sales. And defining incidental has been a bone of contention for many years. In any event, Hirschberger contends he sells only to consumers who contract privately for his food. What's behind all these raids? They seem to stem from increasing concern at both the state and federal level about the spread of private food groups and have sprung up around the country in recent years. food clubs, and buying groups to provide specialized local products that are generally unavailable in groceries, like grass-fed meats, pastured eggs, fermented foods, and in some cases, raw dairy products. Because they are private and limited to consumers who sign up for membership, these groups generally avoid obtaining retail and public health licenses required of retailers that sell to the general public. For more on what's behind the raids, I can go into that at a later date, but I don't have the time today. All right, in late 2008 and early 2009, the representatives of state agricultural agencies in Wisconsin, Indiana, Michigan, and Illinois met via phone conferences with representatives of the FDA. Keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, the FDA has been taken over and massively influenced by Monsanto, the largest genetically modified food producers in the United States, which, by the way, went under a different name. They used to be the largest producers of biological weapons for the United States military. All right, but that was on another show. Illinois met via phone conferences with representatives of the FDA to map a plan for targeting raw milk buying clubs in the Midwest. The meetings came to light after Max Kane, the owner of a Wisconsin buying club who was subpoenaed by Wisconsin authorities for the names of his customers and suppliers, obtained email accounts of the sessions via a Freedom of Information request to Wisconsin's Agricultural, Trade, and Consumer Protection Department. Kane has since been prosecuted by Wisconsin authorities for contempt of court for failing to give up the names. His case is under appeal after he was found guilty last December. Now, the Midwest program seems to have gone national, and recent spate of raids, suggests a quickening pace and broadening scope. While most raids before the Midwest government meetings had been related to raw milk distribution, some, like a December 2008 armed raid of Manna Storehouse on Ohio Food Club near Cleveland, have been about licensing issues. In that raid, armed law enforcement officers held a mother and 8 young children being homeschooled at gunpoint for several hours while they searched the home and food storage areas. A legal challenge to the raid by the family is still tied up in court. The current uptick has Pete Kennedy of the Farm to Consumer Legal Defense Fund concerned, not only about the spreading of the raids, but about the seemingly easy willingness of judges to hand out search warrants. While the U.S. Constitution's Fourth Amendment suggests judges should exercise tight controls over search warrants, quote, no warrant shall issue but upon probable cause, end quote, Kennedy observes, quote, I haven't seen an agency turn down yet, end quote, over the last 4 years in requests for search warrants connected with raw milk and other food production and distribution. Given that the targets of search warrants don't get a say in court as to whether they should be issued, legal experts and those who have been raided say the most that food producers can do is take steps to prepare themselves to weather the raids as best they can. This is something I grabbed off a different site. Very important, ladies and gentlemen. It's a petition, and it says alert. Sign the White House petition to make raw milk legal at the federal level. Again, sign the White House petition to make raw milk legal at the federal level. Go to http://wh.gov/ well, it's not backslash, it's /GSP. Let me do that one more time. http://wh.gov/GSP. Please go there and sign the petition. You know, it's getting out of hand these days, ladies and gentlemen. I want to remind my listeners that Monsanto has their placement now massively influenced the FDA, while they are still attempting to push Codex Alimentarius, which is behind much of the genetically modified food fascism that also extracts nutrients from food and are attempting to ban natural supplements. This is going on right now. Natural supplements are being demonized when pharmaceutical drugs kill more people each year when taken as prescribed than all illegal drugs combined. Much of what is happening here is also tied to the profiteering medical industry that is dictated by Big Pharma, in turn why many natural beneficial foods are being banned while disease-causing GMOs and processed foods and drugs are continuing to increase. It is time to take back our freedom to choose what we can put into our own bodies, choices of naturally non-modified foods that have been proven to be massively beneficial for thousands of years. I would now like to introduce Liz Baldwin from Shunpike Dairy, a local dairy farm that is one of the few that is licensed to sell raw milk to the show. I just want to welcome you, Liz. Are you there?
Yes, I am. Hi, Jason.
Hi, Liz. She's from Shunpike Dairy, and as I mentioned in the beginning, you can go to her website at www.shunpikedairy.com. She's a local dairy near where I'm located in the United States, the eastern portion of the United States. And I go there myself. I get my raw milk from that dairy, and I've only been drinking it for literally, I don't know, maybe a month. I don't remember when I started buying it from the dairy. And I got to tell you, I mean, I personally feel the difference. I never drank raw milk in my life. And I've been reading about it here and there in the past couple of years, but, you know, I just really started delving into it as before the show. And, you know, let me tell you, I mean, I feel not only the energy running through my body, but even my nails. Like, my nails used to grow bumpy, like my thumbnail. I know it sounds strange, but it used to grow bumpy. And since I've been drinking raw milk, my nails are smooth. I have more energy. I feel healthy. And, you know, I just want to welcome you on the show because I am pleased that there is a local dairy farm that does sell raw milk. And it's getting insane, in my opinion, how natural foods are being demonized while, you know, processed and modified and all this other kind of food are being pushed more and more. So, you know, what is your take on raw milk as opposed to pasteurized milk, Liz?
Well, I'll tell you, Jason, I have been a conventional dairy farmer for well over 30 years. I did all the same things that not feedlot dairies, because I've always raised my cows on pasture and predominantly grass. But so many people would come, individuals would just come and walk in the door and ask me if they could have raw milk, you know, if they could buy it from me or whatever. And, you know, I was afraid of compromising my entire business on the chance that something would happen to somebody because it was illegal. I wasn't allowed to sell it. And so I would mostly say no, but a few people I would allow to take it. But I decided after a while that that's what I wanted to do. I said, there's so much demand for this product and nobody's allowed to have it. I think I'm going to try to be legal. I'm going to try to do this, you know, and so that I can publicize and give this to people that want it. And at the time, I thought it was just a matter of people wanting milk from cows before it went to the store. I had no idea of the health benefits. I had no idea what I was going to be able to do for people. It is a complete pleasure for me to hear, you know, people like you say your nails are smoother. People come in, they feel better. They, you know, again, they have more energy. Their allergies are going away. They can drink milk now. The lactose intolerance has gone away. I mean, all kinds of things. Colitis, they're off all their medications for colitis. Side effects from chemotherapy are alleviated. Cholesterol is going down. And as you said, energy. Now, I'm not a scientist and all those big words. I have no idea about all of those things. But,
that's right. You saw me mutilate a few of them anyway.
I feel like a lot of it is because I'm a small farm and my cows, you know, there's not a lot of cows, so there's more room for them to roam. There's more, you know, they get out in the sunshine. It's a bright environment. I think that helps for the whole energy. It's just, you know, you can feel it when you walk in the barn. It's like a karma thing. And
yeah.
So I'm not really sure that all raw milk is even alike. But I don't really know. All I know is what people say when they come to my farm. So I am delighted to be able to give it to people.
Right. And I just want to interject. I just want to interject really quickly. We're going to be going off live in 90 seconds, but we're going to continue on for another 15 minutes. So you guys, you listeners, can go to the Blog Talk Radio site and go to the Benefits of Raw Milk show to hear the end of the show. Otherwise, I'm going to post it through Facebook, through the group, through my page. But go ahead, Liz. I apologize.
Yeah, no problem. I just, it's a horrible thing to hear the raids. You know, you have to remember that every state has completely different laws about the raw milk. And in New York State, I am certified to sell the raw milk. I'm allowed to sell it to anybody who comes to the farm to purchase it. And in a sense, I think New York State has done a great service to people to have them come and actually see where their milk is coming from. Because, you know, as you said, you know, even organic milk, you can buy, you know, certain brands of milk in the store are called organic, and it's, you know, it's sort of dubious what that actually means.
Right.
But when you go to the farm and you actually see what you're getting and what it's coming from, it makes a big difference. And besides, I love seeing all the people and talking to them.
Absolutely, and I've done a few shows on energy. I'm very sensitive to energy. I can feel energy off, people and things and all these different things, different energy levels. And I've done a few shows on energetic structures and how it affects all things, because all things are energy, just condensed to a slow vibration, which gives it form. But I notice, when I do walk there is a great feeling. There is a great feeling when I go on the farm. I mean, even the little cat that runs up to me all the time, it's adorable. But I walk in. There's the milking stables. They're milked by hand. I saw one. I don't know if that was I saw someone milking cows by hand, not these big machines. They're not trapped in a warehouse like some product. They're not. It doesn't, seem like any negativity is going on, and that affects, when an animal or a human or anything goes through any type of turmoil, and they're being housed and used for corporate greed. What happens is a negative energy happens because they're not living a life that they should be, and that energy goes into the animal or human, and in turn, that's what gets passed through milk or meats if people eat meat and all that kind of stuff. And I'm just so happy to see that it's not only a local farm, not only it's a small farm, not only one of the few that are licensed to do this, but also it seems like a very humane place as far as all this goes. And I know with me, I don't get sick that often as it is, and I stopped coming down with colds and all that stuff. Although I did have a slight cold last week, but I barely get ill, and that's because of the way I changed my diet. Stuff that I eat is nowhere near what I used to. I don't really eat any processed foods. I don't eat anything with the high fructose corn syrup in it, which, by the way, contains mercury. None of this stuff. And I noticed since I started changing my personal diet, my energy level's gone up. My thoughts have become more precise, and everything. And it's just amazing. And raw milk, like I said, I've read about, but I've never actually tried it until a month ago. And there's all this stuff demonizing raw milk. And what happened? What happened before? I don't remember what year it was, but when Pasteur or whatever the guy's name was, before he came out with his process, people drank raw milk all the time, and it does act as a medicine in a way. And this goes hand in hand with the way our medical, which I call the medical mafia, and big pharma has a huge interest in the non-health of people, because sickness is profitable. And that's just one side of it. But go ahead, Liz. I'm sorry.
I have numerous people, especially from foreign countries, and they just don't understand this country not allowing people to drink raw milk. It's just so natural to them to be drinking raw milk. And, certainly older people that grew up on it, as a matter of course, it was just the way it was. And now all of a sudden, they're finding it. All of a sudden they found, like it was this big secret. Well, it's very hard to find in New York State. And that's why I'm certainly glad to be certified so that I can advertise, and I don't have to hide what I'm doing, and I don't have to, fake or, pretend that, I don't have to hide anything that I'm doing. And so I don't get bothered by the inspectors or any of those people. They come in and they do their test and they say everything's healthy and off they go. But,
what do they require?
I pride myself on stress-free milk. That's my cows. You'll see that a lot of them are much older because their longevity is much more. I don't push them. I'm no longer in the business of trying to make as much milk as possible. I'm in the business of trying to make milk that tastes good and that people are going to like when they come and that it's going to be beneficial to them. Right,
and just to verify, you don't use any growth hormones, no steroids. They're all grass-fed. They're free to roam, all that kind of stuff. I just want to verify that, and that's just beautiful. Absolutely. That's just beautiful.
I actually had one woman who came in, and she was much like you, she was very into health and energy and things like that, and she had never had raw milk before, actually, and she tasted it, and she literally started crying. It just brought her right to tears. She goes, "This
wow.
milk is made with love," and it was
awesome.
it was an amazing moment. But
right.
you know, I pride myself on you know, treating my animals properly and, like I said, stress free and as natural to them as can be. You know, we try. You know, grass is natural to them. They go out and they graze. So,
and if I'm correct, I don't know if I'm absolutely correct on this, but if I'm correct, and we have another caller on hold. Just hold on there, caller. I'll pick you up in about 5 minutes. If you can hold on for 5 more minutes, we are going to be live for another 10 minutes or a little under 10 minutes. So just hang in there if you don't mind. But from what I understand, the only reason they feed them grain, and how many stomachs do cows have? Like they have 4 stomachs, and they have to get used to eating grain, right? Like they can't just go right on grain, right? Because they have to actually force them into little by little eating grain because it's not natural for them, and they put a lot of the steroids and stuff or growth hormones in the grain while they inject them with the, what is that, RBH? Am I saying that correctly? The RBH growth hormone?
BHT.
Right. Okay.
I honestly, I'm not 100% sure about that, but grain is a concentrate, concentrated into a small pellet. So if you were to give them a lot of it, you know, right immediately, we're used to it, it would throw their stomachs off. You know, they wouldn't have any way of digesting it. But you know, grain in and of itself isn't always a bad thing. I think just what you're doing is force-feeding cows and trying to make them produce more than they would, you know, more than they were really intended to do. You see cows at the fair and things like that with these enormous udders. You know, it's not natural. It's not, you know, it's not normal to them.
Well, right. It's kind of like the genetically modified food that we call frankenfoods.
It's hard to give cows, you know, they're big animals, they need to eat, and it is very hard in the wintertime especially to give them just hay. You know, you need to give them something so that they don't become just skin and bone.
Right.
But you don't keep forcing, you know, more and more and more so that they make more and more and more, because, I mean, I don't. But that's the business. I mean, that's the commercial business end of things, is to try to make as much milk as you can, because it's the only way to try to make money.
Yeah, it's disgusting. And I did a couple great shows on money, the whole origins of money since Babylon and the Rothschild family and all that. But, you know, quickly, if you could just tell me, I only got like a minute and a half here, and I want to bring on the caller we have. Can you quickly tell me what you were telling me on the farm itself with pasteurization, as far as when you heat the milk up really quick to pasteurize it and then you cool it down quickly? You're mentioning something along the lines of it killing all the essential enzymes and all this stuff that you need. So when you're drinking pasteurized milk, it's almost as if you're drinking like a numb product that's not going to do that much for you any longer. Right.
Raw milk is a live food. It's like any really raw food. It's alive, and all those enzymes and good bacteria are in the product, and they're all alive, and they're all working to your benefit and helping the product itself do the good things that it can for you. As soon as you pasteurize it, whether you ultra-pasteurize it, which is like a flash heating, really quick, high temperature, or regular pasteurizing, which is 180 degrees or something for a certain amount of time, 5 or 10 minutes, you're killing all that. And now you have a dead product, and it can't do anything for you. It's not necessarily going to hurt you, but except homogenization is a whole other story. Pasteurization is going to kill everything. Homogenization will actually hurt you, because that's when that fat becomes, it's going to stick to you. The process of homogenization, it breaks down all the fat molecules, and now your body can't digest them. So instead, they just stick to your arteries. They can't get absorbed and used by your body. So homogenization is detrimental to you. Pasteurization just renders it dead.
I see. We are in Orwellian times, and what I mean by that is, bad is called good, and good is called bad, and it's unfortunate, and that's why we're being rated and being told what we can eat, what we can watch, and all this kind of stuff, and it's unfortunate. We need more people like you, Liz, and your farm itself. I just think it's beautiful. I have a lot of respect for that, and you do it legally, and that's great. You have the permits to do it, and it seems like it's working so far. I just hope what's happening in the Midwest and the West Coast doesn't come this way as far as raiding raw milk farms as if they're like drug dens.
Yeah, I really don't think it will. I just think the public outcry is going to be too great for it to be allowed to happen. I just think if they tried to shut me down, I think my own customers would rebel to the point where, I'd be raided by my customers. I couldn't go down,
and I'd be right behind you, don't worry.
Again, I caution everybody that all raw milk is not alike. You can go to feedlot feedlot farms that are advertising raw milk, and you may be getting something that, isn't what you think.
Oh,
so,
sure.
Again, as you said, question everything.
Question everything. Remember, the FDA calls a lot of things organic that aren't even organic. I think it's and I got to let you go, but aspartame is a drug created in the 60s to fight ulcers, and it was banned because it was causing neurological damage and tumors. But it was brought back out in the early 80s by Rumsfeld as a sweetener, aspartame. And the thing is, now people are catching on to it. Doctors are telling people that go through seizures not to eat anything with aspartame. But now they came out with something called neotame, and they're calling it organic, and it's not. It's actually just a sister, and it's synthesized from aspartame. But anyway, I'm going to grab this caller. Liz, that's Liz Baldwin, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much, Liz. You're inspiration, and I am so happy that there's someone in the area to be able to do this. Because there's not many at all, and I have a lot of respect for someone that humanely treats her cows. They're not like a product. They're another loving being, and we need to really treat everything with love. So I just want to thank you again, ladies and gentlemen. Please visit Shunpike Dairy on Facebook. That's SHUNPIKE. Check out our Facebook page and check out our website. It's www.shunpikedairy.com. That's www.shunpikedairy.com. I'm there every weekend. I grab my milk from there. I try to get some eggs from there, and I stop and I visit. I play with the cat. It's a great place, and we need more people like you, Liz. Thank you very much, and I will talk to you soon. Yep, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Yep.
All right, take care of yourself. Hi, caller on. Hello.
Hello.
Hi. You're on air right now.
Oh, okay. Hi there. I was wondering I missed part of the beginning half of the show. I was wondering what the health benefits were that you know of from other people besides the benefits that you said you yourself got.
Well, I mean, other people that I know that I speak to all over the world that do drink raw milk, especially children if they drink it and they adapt to it from a young age. This is what they're telling me. The parents are telling me, and even themselves that have been drinking it their whole lives, that even those that, by the way, that didn't drink raw milk and they started drinking it and now they drink it for years, they get sick less often. Children's allergies actually go away. As far as all this kind of stuff, the immune system actually gets boosted as well when you drink raw milk, and it's sickening how it's demonized. And again, you got to remember, most people watch that rectangular hypnotist in their living room and just suck in everything it says, rather than looking things up on their own. And of course, it implants fear and it gets spread. So there's so many benefits out there. I mean, even my own thought processes have greatly increased. With me, but the people I've spoken to, their health, their immune system, they're, getting sick less often. Allergies tend to go away, and those are the main ones that I notice as far as that goes. But I have also read other cases, too, where it helps actually fight cancer cells and all these other things. But, that's what I have seen personally from others as opposed to the information that I read in the beginning, if that's what you're talking about.
One of the serious, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Okay.
One of the serious problems that I'm going through right now is my teeth are leaching calcium. And that is an agenda by the government because they have eliminated foods that have probiotics.
Yep.
And,
we got 15 seconds.
enzymes from our diet. And I also have a steady drip of mercury in my mouth. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you. Thank you for sharing.
And fluoride, too. Fluoride causes dental fluorosis.
Yes, it does.
I'm sorry I didn't have enough time to